if there is any questions about the previous, just.
I just wanted to say, as we're switching over to the EDA, that the EDA does not do anything that you just spoke of, correct?
That's correct. That's department's operations. The EDA, well, the EDA is a tool that this board uses and the department uses to assist in those things. Right. All right. The Chesterfield County, the Economic Development Authority of Chesterfield County was created over 50 years ago using the enabling legislation of the Industrial Development Revenue Bond Act. So the board in 1969, using that act, created the Economic Development Authority, and it was set up as 7 members then, and it is still 7 members now. These are your current 7 members. They represent a just strong background in business and legal and development experience, as well as a very diverse group, probably one of the most diverse groups we've had in a while. And they are all appointed by you and reappointed by you for 4-year terms. Once again, 7 members appointed by the Board of Supervisors. Their goal is to assist under the legislation with the Board of Supervisors and the department in the goals of creating jobs and expanding tax base and putting forward economic development. They have no paid staff. We act as the staff for the EDA. Why is EDA an important tool? We'll talk about some of the things that they have done here just recently, but yes.
They also assist private industry when asked to help with funding, correct?
Yeah, I'm gonna go through that in just a second.
I just wanted to make sure.
You're out in front of me, Mr. Ingle. Thank you. Yeah. Get my slide back here. Oh, there we go. Good. You heard me talk about we're in a competitive market here. The things that the EDA can do to assist is they can enter into contracts, acquire property, and issue financing for private sector developments. All our competition has the same ability. We use it very effectively to compete, to have properties that are ready and to go so that we don't get passed over. I'll give you some examples of that, but it allows for flexibility and efficiency to accomplish the goals of the board when it comes to economic development. The EDA financing, which you just brought, the primary goal of the legislation was to provide financing that encouraged development, commercial development, and public investment. So since 1969, the board has used the EDA for financings over 130 conduit debt programs, including the Juvenile Detention Center, the Arts Center, talk about Tomahawk Sewer in just a few minutes, but as well as the Build America bonds were issued through the EDA back, for the interchange at MEADOWVILLE. And then to your point specifically, Mr. Ingle, they have done many finances, and what happens as a conduit, qualifying private sector developments can go through the EDA and get special tax provisions that allow the purchaser of the bonds to have a tax-free yield or a tax-free gain. Throughout the years, the federal government has reduced the amount of things that can be done that way in order they saw the impact on the taxes. Right now, there are very few industrial projects that we see come this way because of the limit and the size, but we do see retirement communities, apartment communities, housing as part. In fact, you have got the Fairfield Grand Oaks on your agenda tonight, which would be a conduit financing from the EDA, and you guys will see one from the refinancing of Brandon Mill Woods next month. So we're seeing a few of those. But there's a strong track record of the board using the EDA to get things done. In the 10 years on projects that you've involved them in, it's resulted in over $500 million in capital investment, 4,000 jobs. We can directly attest it to the efforts using those. Meadowville being one. Clearly, Meadowville, you know, $243 million in capital investment, closer to 4,000 jobs at this point. The taxes, the real estate taxes generated in Meadowville alone is equal to 1 cent on the tax rate. So very successful project. Stonebridge being another one, revitalization project, taking an asset that was not performing and about to perform even less and turning it into a real success.
Is that $101 million we see assessed there?
Yes, sir. That is $101 million. Yeah.
I remember when that was a 30,000 drain on the tax of the county. So this is a significant
Yeah,
project.
the last time I get this report for you
Significant
guys,
turnaround.
it was about 79 million, and now it's
Yes, it
100.
keeps growing.
It
Thank
just
you.
keeps growing.
And that's prior to the hotel and conference center going in up there. I mean,
yes,
you
sir.
look at everything else that's slated up there. I mean, when that thing at full build out, I don't know what it's going to be. It's going to be a lot bigger than that number too.
Well,
200 million, 200 million.
And just
200
the revitalization of the area, the investment in the area that is creating energy and, you know, folks turning around and reinvesting in their own properties and opportunities, right? All of those things. This is a true
Success story. Yeah,
Yeah,
great
you
success
take
story.
You take a performing asset that was probably getting $8 a square foot rent, is now, you know, getting $28 a square foot market rent, highest retail market rent, as high as any in the region.
Great, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, it's Mr. Carroll.
Yes, sir.
I think we skipped over it, but I'll ask the question. How much land's left down at Meadowville to sell?
How much is left?
Yeah.
Just a little over 640 acres.
So not much.
Not much.
No.
Not much. And don't expect to have that long. Agreed. I was going to talk real quickly about the 5 projects that we have been working on in the past year with the Board of Supervisors. They were 5 projects totaling $54 billion in investment. First being the Tomahawk Trunk Sewer. We will receive construction bids on August the 10th and expect to award construction in September for a fall start, with construction of the Tomahawk Sewer completion of early spring of '23. That this project will open up additional land that you were just brought up, Mr. Carroll, additional land for job creation and development, as well as for mixed-use opportunities in the corridor. Digital Drive, Meadowville Technology, this is the completion of Digital Drive from Niagara around to over Meet 100, which will create the loop, allowing the trucks to go in 2 directions from Niagara and Amazon and the Cartograph site, as well as Red Rock when it starts construction. We are putting down the asphalt, I think next week, all except the top coat. We're gonna save that out until Red Rock finishes their heavy construction before we put that down. Really great. Yeah, I'm so pleased to say, you guys saw it in the paper today, live shows to, you know, great reviews for the building and for the way they've decked it out. It's real success here. We are closing out the construction account this month for a project that came in on budget, okay, and created a beautiful facility. And the EDA will, from this point on, be the landlord and control the financing. But other than that, it is the operation of the foundation. And I'm looking forward to visiting. Upper Magnolia, you guys are very familiar with the Upper Magnolia purchase that you funded several months back. We are studying the purchased land for most primarily its ability to help us with infrastructure problems, road and transportation problems that exist in the area, as well as some school opportunities. We are working with Mr. Carroll and Mr. Winslow, and we'll be starting working with the community about those opportunities to enhance the quality of those things up there this time. Southside Speedway. We have included the Southside Speedway project into the small area plan for the Genito Small Area Plan, and it will be part of the discussions for the community meetings and the Small Area Plan development, as well as Mr. Winslow is putting together with Susan Pollard an opportunity for people to speak about the things that they think we ought to use that property for. It will come back to you guys several times to figure out how that is developed to maximize the quality of life in the area and the quality of the experience of the visiting public. We are going to switch now from existing to potential new projects that the board has EDA involved in looking at to pursue. The Department of Economic Development has, for almost the past year, worked with Parks and Rec, Fire and Rescue, the administration, and members of the board about the opportunities for recreation and access to the James River. There's nobody here that thinks that we've got enough, and I agree with that. If we need more, better quality access. It became clear in those evaluations that there were clearly some sites that were better for that opportunity than others. This is the former Rivers Bend Clubhouse. It is a good location for that for a lot of natural reasons and for a lot of positioning reasons. It is also coincides with the work that will be done for the new entrance for Henricus, as well as an opportunity for more recreation on both sides of that connection. So on your agenda tonight is setting the public hearing to consider giving the EDA funding to purchase that property so we can then further work with the community on making that a really great recreational asset. And then finally, in addition to that, on the same agenda for the funding is the opportunity to buy Spring Rock Green, the remaining 42 acres of the project. It is a really exciting opportunity to build on the success and even grow the success of the Stonebridge project and create a really spectacular gateway to the eastern end of the county. I can't tell you how excited about the opportunity to connect Stonebridge and the boulders and to bring more energy and opportunity to that area, create places for the workers at the hospital and the office parks in the area. We are working, the EDA has hired Cooper Carey, one of the well-known national firms for planning projects like this. They have several visions that they're proposing, but we're going to work through the rezoning with the community meetings to figure out how that all works. But it's basically laid out to be a very, I would call a festival community. It is built around a center plaza that can be used for farmers markets and movies and concerts and things. It will have the first structured parking apartment complexes are proposed here with heights as high as 7 and 8 feet, luxury apartments, office development, hotel, and then an entertainment sports complex are all proposed.
You meant 7 and 8 stories, right?
I'm sorry, is that what I said? 7 and 8 stories, I'm sorry. Not 78, 7 or 8 stories. 7 to 8 stories, yeah. And the parking coincides with that, so that if you're in an apartment on the 5th floor, you have a reserved parking space on the 5th floor. So you just get out, it's some very unique ideas that we'll be working with you guys on through this project, should you choose to go forward. This is what we conceptualize as the phase 1 of this project, which would be about 350 apartments, 25,000 square foot of retail, about 100,000 square feet of office, and then 100,000 square feet of the entertainment sports facility and the new police precinct.
Mr. Chair.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Carol.
I just want to make sure for the viewers at home that they understand that although we're going to buy the property, it's private industry that's actually going to do all of this infrastructure as far as building the different things that you're talking about right now.
Yes, sir. We're just laying out an opportunity for private sector development.
Well, there may be some, because there may be some people at home who will look at this and go, why is Chesterfield County doing all this? Why is Chesterfield County investing in this property, and why is Chesterfield County going to build all this? And we really want to make sure that people understand that that's not the case.
No.
We're going to provide the opportunity for private industry to come in and invest in the community.
Just like Stonebridge was a private-public partnership, this will use the same tactics. It'll be the same private-public partnership. And I remind everybody here that Stonebridge was rated the #1 private-public partnership in the state of Virginia, and we plan to do that again at this. But all of the development, other than the sports facility, will be handled the same way the volleyball center is, where the EDA would be the landlord, but the leasee would be the operator and run it. The rest of that, the development will end up being privately held and privately developed.
Ms. Haley.
And I think, thank you, Mr.
Well,
Chair.
other than the police
And
precinct.
I think, what I think it's important that folks understand that unlike the Stonebridge, this actually, we already have commercial intention to move forward with these projects, which is why this, I don't want to say Stonebridge was speculative, but in some respects, we went into that open-minded to where that went, whereas in this case, we've got some very specific commitments. So we're not just purchasing property without an idea of where it goes. And in some cases, that's unique to this project, I think, and it's important for people to understand. So as to Mr. Carroll's point, normally we would be showing possibilities and discussing possibilities rather than talking about phasing, where we already have folks that are, committed and at the table that are going to pursue this type of phasing. And so this makes this, it only elevates this even more as such a win-win project, because we already have, partners in the private sector at the table committed. And we're not having to go out and start looking now to fill space. And so I think that really makes this unique. I think that, from my perspective, recognizing the successes we have at this end of my district and our citizens district, kudos to your folks for putting together so much of this in advance to show what this partnership can look like from the start rather than as we evolve into it.
Yeah. I thank you for clarifying that. I do want to be, we were approached by private sector partners that said this could be really this if you guys could help us do this. So it is not one where we are see an imminent threat as we did to the value of Stonebridge and just jump in there and then figure it out later. We have done a lot of work to get to this point before we brought it to you guys.
And it's also important to note that private sector investment will repay the county for the properties that we purchase now. We're just doing this to facilitate the overall project, because none of them would be able to come in and purchase it as one piece. So we're doing that and then selling it back off, and we will recover that money as well as the new tax dollars that will come into the county.
Absolutely correct. You're now reading ahead on Mr. Harris's presentation. But I'll let you do that. He's going to talk to you about how this pencils out in the black almost immediately and how we get repaid. And at this point, I will allow him to do that.
As he approaches, I just wanted to reemphasize too, the police precinct is something we worked with the police department about. It's removing them from a rented property that's not as visible, an old barbecue restaurant that I think some people say you can still smell the barbecue in there, to actually a state-of-the-art police precinct right at the gateway into Chesterfield County. And then the sports venue that Mr. Hart referenced, again, that also has a private partner already targeted to be a tenant. And just similar to how we had the partnership with the RVC facility with the Richmond Volleyball Club from the start. So those partners themselves, again, they're going to be part of this process. So as we go forward in the next couple of months through rezonings and acquisitions, they're going to be speaking actually more in the first person about what they're doing than we are. Mr. Harris.
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, I'll be brief. Turning a little bit to the financial pieces, as you guys have highlighted, there's always a lot of questions on that. The good news here, before we get into it, the Stonebridge, really was our opportunity to work out and perfect this specific model. We had a couple little fluctuations there that I'll highlight because we're in a better overall financial position as a county. But by and large, this is just the Stonebridge project, a little bit north, and we've been able, again, to work through all these mechanics. They're time-tested. The market knows them. And the places where you have to go out and borrow money, they already know and have seen our track record for this. So that's really, really important. So 3 key pieces I want to touch on, and it's easier to kind of think of them in those specific lanes. We'll start with the land. Mr. Engel, you're exactly right. That is how it works. Again, that's the Stonebridge model. The difference here is we borrowed to make that purchase over several phases. In this instance, because of policies that the board has put in place in terms of setting monies aside for acquisitions, we already have those dollars in place, and that's what we'll draw on to make this purchase, and we will repay the county, not the EDA. It'll come back to the county in sort of a sinking fund, and those dollars will be there for some other future purchase down the road. So that's exactly how that will work. In terms of the mechanics of what you're being asked to do, just so we're very clear for the public, today really is just about setting that public hearing in August. So there's 30 days where we can have questions and do all of those kinds of things, and then the actual public hearing is a month from now. Today's just make sure that everyone has all the information, because this is a complex and multifaceted project. $16 million purchase. There's $1.5 million approximately of soft costs. So again, we have those monies here. We're going to be asking for the permission to appropriate and transfer to the EDA to facilitate this transaction. We do believe, and there's another item on your evening agenda for your ARPA funds, that we can use a portion of ARPA funds to help specifically with the police precinct. That is something, this is a qualified census tract, as well as the ARPA guidelines have begun to focus and really put emphasis on public safety, and so I think meshes well with the chief's vision for this Eastern Midlothian station. So no debt on this piece. Cash in, cash out comes back to the county. Again, we won't sell all pieces of this in fairness, because we have the police station, the land perhaps under the entertainment venue, and more to come on that, probably is a retained asset of the EDA. But by and large, Mr. Engel, you're right, we will get our money back through future sales, sans those few pieces of property. Component 2 is the infrastructure piece. So this is our quote-unquote incentive, if you will, for the deal. This is exactly what we did at Stonebridge. We went in, that's one of those hurdles that it is hard for the private sector to come in and put that basic infrastructure package together. So you see upfront estimated costs, and we'll continue to refine that, $12 to $14 million. That's a subsequent action of the Board of Supervisors. We're not asking for any action or any monies associated with this tonight. We'll continue to perfect that pro forma as we move forward. If this moves through the zoning process and is successful, we will come back and ask you for permission to take out probably a private bank loan that we'll put on the street and compete to pay for this. And this is paid for by the incremental taxes off of the project. And talking to our development partners, we do believe that we'll be in the black right out of the gates on this. As soon as those buildings come out of the ground, we'll structure the loan to make sure that we don't have any coverage issues there, and we're not pulling away resources from any other county program or service. And also, we are $500,000 cash positive currently on the other side of the street with Stonebridge, and we will do some things behind the scene mechanically to be able to free up that $500,000 that we haven't been able to touch up until this point, to give us some extra cushion when we come across the street. So again, we've done this. We've been very successful. With the same size infrastructure package, it is cash flow positive, and we'll look to sort of combine those efforts and make sure that this is all taken care of. There is an envision, potentially based on the success of the project and the timing of the project, there could be other future infrastructure needs. We don't know what those are going to be, when we would need those. That will all come back for future actions and permissions from you all. We're not asking for any of that here, but just want to be upfront with anything that we might need as we move forward. But if you see me or Garrett come up here and talk to you again about that, it's a very good day, because that means that the success, the momentum of the project dictated further investment from Chesterfield County. And finally, this is a really unique piece of this, but again, borrowing from some of the things we did across the street, a number of county facility implications here. First and foremost, we had a bunch of things going on, in terms of county initiatives and things that we were working on, and they really came to all bump into each other here on the Spring Rock Green site. First and foremost, it's been a long-standing goal of the county and the school board, in large measure, to maximize the investments that we have made in CTC Hull on Hull Street. That is a technical center now.
Can I say amen, Mr. Chairman? Am I allowed to do that?
So
Okay, thank you.
We have worked with you all, we've worked with the school administration, the school board, and we are, as part of this, the concept would be to consolidate school administration here on this site in some leased office space as part of that schematic that Garrett showed you, what that allows us to do. So that is an expense on one side of the house, but it allows us to double our technical capacity in terms of delivering education, all the things in the workforce components that Garrett talked to you about earlier at CTC Hull, and maximize that for educational purposes only, and that's a really big day. And we've priced that out. We've worked with Dr. Daughter and his team to know what it would cost if we went out and did that. You know, we bought a piece of land and what that would cost. It's a tremendous savings doing it this way. The other component of it is our registrar function is split currently in 2 leased pieces of property, obviously that we don't own. That creates some logistical and customer service challenges for them. We all know how that space has been activated by some of the recent changes. We would like to consolidate the registrar function. If school admin comes here, the school admin building that's on the Laurie Road campus becomes available, and we believe that would be a good destination for a consolidated registrar function. It gives folks one place to go. There's much better parking, better training, and gets us out of 2 of our more expensive leases. And then you heard Dr. Casey talk about getting out of the police lease, bringing it down here, a much more visible and functional building for the police department.
Mr. Chairman, obviously we set a public hearing and we'll hear from the public on this issue, but one item that I certainly have received a lot of feedback about from constituents is the tech center, being used for some tech. And so I look at this as a plan to put the tech back into the tech center, and I'm really excited about that. That will maximize that building and make it one for students to learn in. We are hearing all the time from Garrett and your department, our workforce, regional collaborations, and others, our industry leaders who are telling us that blue-collar jobs or light blue-collar jobs are back, and we need to be on the forefront of that. We need to have an end to wait lists for these skills and building these skills and these certifications. And when we see an end to those wait lists, we'll know that we're doing a 100% job in this county of preparing people for those types of jobs.
Mr. Chair.
Yes, Mr. Carroll.
The other thing, too, I think this will do, if you clear this up for him, but it also will help us with some of the capacity issues we have with some of the high schools that are overflowing. By utilizing this space, we can, currently using CTC Hull, we can take some of those kids and move them in there from these other schools and actually help alleviate some of the actual overcrowding we have, such as in Cosby and in Clover Hill, as an example.
Yes, sir, absolutely. I think, liaison committee met this week, and that was the next topic they want to take up is sort of looking at facility issues and maximization, but this fits absolutely in that envelope and absolutely will create pockets of capacity across the county.
Well, and Mr. Chair, and, we just continually hear about these wait lists that students are on who have real interest in some of these programs and their inability to actually be included. So there are so many win-wins to this. I think it works out, just to be perfect. And the real question is just how fast we can get this done so that we can really accommodate that really current need.